The girl with no match Lyria stood alone at the edge of the grand hall of stars. Around her, hundreds of aliens danced under the glowing dome. Their clothes sparkled, their voices echoed with joy. Colorful lights floated through the air like slow-moving fireflies, but no one noticed Lyria. Her soft skin glowed a dull violet, not bright, not special. Her eyes were wide and gentle, but not sharp like her people praised. Her voice, when she spoke, was calm and low, not bold, not strong, just quiet. She had tried everything. Her parents introduced her to 3 noble houses. All said the same. She's kind, yes, but not impressive. Others said worse. She glows like a broken lamp. She sounds like a whisper in a loud storm. Now, she stood at the edge of the ballroom wearing the only dress she owned. Simple, soft, no sparkle. No one asked her to dance. No one even looked. She watched a tall, golden-skinned male bow to a shining blue dancer. Cheers followed them as they stepped into the circle. Lyria turned away. She walked quietly out of the hall and into the empty corridor. Her steps echoed. Her eyes burned. She sat alone by a window, staring at the stars. This was the 6th event, where no one chose her. She opened her data pad. Her fingers shook as she tapped through another matchmaker program, a cross-species connection system. Most of them showed the same results. No requests, no pings, no messages. She opened one last app, the one called Union of Worlds, Companion Link. Her profile was still there. Species: Valari, age 22. Skills: art, soft music composition, healing touch. Notes: non-aggressive, quiet, passive. She sighed. That last word always followed her. Passive. As if not fighting made her weak, she stared at the screen, thumb hovering over the delete button. Then a new notification appeared. Incoming response, accepted by James Holt, human. She blinked. Human? Most humans never used these systems. They were rare at social events. Some considered them strange. Why would a human accept her? The message opened. Hello, Lyria. I saw your profile. I don't know much about your people, but your calm presence sounds peaceful. I'm an engineer from Earth working on Station Delta. Would you like to meet for tea? Tea? No demand. No checklist. Just tea. She stared at the screen for a long time. Then she typed, yes, I'd like that. Though, next day she arrived at the small cafe on the station's lower ring. No music played, no dancers, just the soft hum of machines and the smell of herbs. She saw him at once, human, wearing simple clothes, a tool belt around his waist, short brown hair, strong hands. But it was his eyes that caught her. They didn't scan her up and down like others. They just looked at her, as if he wanted to see her. Lyria? He asked kindly. She nodded, nervous. Yes. He stood, pulled out a chair for her. Would you like jasmine or mint? She blinked. I don't know what that is. He smiled. Try mint, Earth's favorite. He poured the tea himself. No server, no helper. Just him. She sipped the warm drink. It was sweet, strange, but comforting. They sat in silence for a while. Then she asked, why me? He looked at her carefully. You looked gentle, peaceful, like a breeze after a storm. She smiled, surprised. Most call me quiet, or boring. James shook his head. Quiet doesn't mean boring. I work with machines all day, they make noise, but peace, that's rare. Lyria felt something strange in her chest, a warm pressure. No one ever said peace was good before. They talked about music, about Earth, about her glowing skin. James said it reminded him of the stars back home, dim but steady, calming. You don't shine like a weapon, he said. You glow like home. She looked down, hiding her face. You really don't think I'm strange? He paused. I think the galaxy forgot how to see real beauty. As she left the cafe, she noticed two aliens staring at her from the corner. They whispered. One laughed, but for the first time she didn't feel the sting, because someone had looked at her and seen her. The human who didn't laugh. Lyria returned to her pod room that evening with something strange in her chest. Calmness, not excitement, not love, but peace. Something new. All her life she had been waiting for someone to see her. But she didn't expect it would be a human. And certainly not one so ordinary. But James Holt was anything but ordinary. He didn't ask about her family, her title, or her status. He didn't care that her glow was too soft or that her voice barely rose above a whisper. He listened, and when he looked at her, he didn't judge, he noticed. The next day, Lyria visited the lower engineering deck. She brought a small fruit basket, unsure if it was the right thing. Her people believed in gifts for kindness. She found James crouched under a half-opened access panel, wires glowing around him. Sparks hissed in the air. You don't need to bring me anything, he said without looking. Lyria blinked. How did you know I was there? James tapped the side of his head. Human ears. She giggled softly. Still, it's a thank you. He rolled out from under the panel, face slightly dirty, hands covered in dust. Thank me for what? For treating me like I wasn't broken. James looked at her carefully. You're not broken. You're just quiet. People fear quiet things. Lyria tilted her head. Why? Because quiet things notice more than loud ones. She watched him work for a while. There was something different about him. Every move was careful. His hands didn't shake. His eyes scanned fast, precise. He wasn't just fixing wires, he understood them. Were you trained to do this? She asked. He nodded. Back on Earth. In hard places. Places where broken things meant someone might die if you waited too long. Lyria stepped closer. War zones? He looked at her. Sometimes. But mostly just places where help never came. That night she couldn't sleep. His words echoed in her head. Places where help never came. She opened her data scroll, searched James Holt public records, said little. Born on Earth. Engineer. No living relatives. Transferred to the station 5 cycles ago. Nothing special, but Lyria felt there was more. Much more. The next time they met, James brought her a gift, a small orb. What is it? She asked. Old Earth tech, we called them sound memories. He pressed it. A soft melody filled the air. Piano, a human instrument. Warm, sad, beautiful. It's music from home, James said. I thought you'd like something quiet. She listened in silence, hands folded in her lap. Tears touched the edge of her eyes. It sounds like me. James nodded. That's why I gave it to you. After that they met more often. Not in public, not in grand halls, but in empty cargo, bays, silent gardens, quiet tunnels that curved around the station's belly. He showed her stars through the maintenance hatch. She showed him how to mix colors that matched her glow. One night she asked, Do you miss Earth? James didn't answer right away. Then softly, I miss the parts that weren't loud. Their connection grew, but not everyone liked it. One day, as Lyria walked through the market, 3 alien women from her species stopped her. You've changed, one said. You walk like someone important. Another added, the others say you're trying to impress a human. Lyria remained calm. He's kind. They laughed. He's weak. Earth has no power here. Why lower yourself for someone who doesn't shine? Lyria looked at them for a moment, then said quietly, Because he doesn't need to shine to light up a room, and walked away. That evening, she found James sitting alone, staring at a small screen. On it was a picture, a younger James, a girl beside him, same eyes, same smile, She was my sister, he said without her asking. She died protecting our home. Lyria sat beside him. Is that why you always fix broken things? She asked. He nodded slowly. Because she used to, and I couldn't save her. So now I try to save whatever I can. Lyria reached out, touched his hand. You saved me, she whispered, without even trying. James looked at her, really looked. In that moment, something passed between them. Not romantic, not forced, but real. He saw her. She saw him, both quiet, both forgotten by others. But finally, not alone. The eyes behind the quiet. The station lights dimmed during night cycle. Most species rested. Halls were empty, the shops closed. Only the hum of generators echoed through the metal walls. But Lyria was awake. She sat in her room, holding the sound orb James gave her. The soft piano tones filled the silence. It was like he was there, even when he wasn't. She thought about his eyes. They weren't just kind. They were tired. Like he had seen too much. Like he had carried too much for too long. She needed to know more. The next day, she waited outside. Engineering Bay 7. James arrived carrying a box of tools. Want help? She asked. He smiled. You know how to fix coolant valves? She tilted her head. No, but I'm a fast learner. He laughed softly. All right then, let's fix something. Together. They spent hours inside the maintenance shafts. Lyria passed him tools, held open panels, watched him work. But her attention wasn't on the machines. It was on him. His movements were too precise, his reflexes too quick. At one point, a panel sparked. Before she could blink, James grabbed her wrist and pulled her back. It was fast. Natural. Protective, are you all right? He asked, letting go. She nodded slowly. You moved like a soldier. He froze, then returned to work without answering. Later, as they drank tea in the small break room, Lyria asked softly, James, were you ever part of Earth's defense units? He looked at the tea, silent, then finally spoke. Yes. She didn't push him. She waited. I was trained under a program called Ghost Signal, he said. We weren't loud. We weren't known. We handled things no one wanted to admit existed. Lyria whispered. Like what? He sipped his tea. Creatures that slipped between worlds, rogue AI that controlled minds, starships that went dark and came back. Wrong. Her heart beat faster. Why leave? James leaned back, eyes fixed on the ceiling. Because after one mission, I stopped sleeping. Lyria looked down. Was it bad? He nodded once. We saved people. But the cost was too high. I didn't want to fight anymore. So I came here, to fix broken wires instead of broken people. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then Lyria said gently, You still help, just in quieter ways. James gave her a faint smile. And you still glow, even when others don't notice. The next morning, Lyria walked past the central plaza. A crowd had gathered near the art screens. She paused. Someone had painted a mural overnight. It showed a glowing figure, soft violet light, standing at the center of a storm, and beside her, a shadowy human holding her hand, shielding her from fire. At the bottom, a sentence glowed in Earth English and Galactic Common. Some lights are quiet, but they never fade. Lyria stepped closer, eyes wide. It's us, she whispered. She turned and saw James across the plaza, leaning against a wall watching her. He didn't wave. He didn't smile, but he nodded, just once, and she felt warmer than she ever had before. That night she visited his quarters. Was that your painting? She asked. James shrugged. Just pixels. Anyone could have made it. She walked in slowly. The room was clean, simple. Tools, books, a small plant. But then she saw something that made her stop. A metal case under the bed. Unlocked. Inside was an old Earth badge. It read, Unit 73, Ghost Signal. If we're quiet, it's already too late. Next to it, a photo of him in uniform, younger, stronger, but the same eyes. Lyria closed the box slowly. You're not just an engineer, she whispered. James didn't deny it. I was trained to see danger before anyone else, he said. But I also learned to see people before they're gone. He looked at her. And you were fading when I found you. She stepped forward. I'm not fading anymore. The invitation. A week passed. Lyria's steps felt different now, lighter, steadier. She no longer avoided reflective walls or lowered her eyes when groups passed her in the halls. Her glow, once dull and barely visible, now shimmered with a soft, calming pulse. Something inside her had changed, because someone had stayed. James didn't treat her like a project. He didn't try to fix her. He simply saw her, and that made all the difference. One afternoon, a message arrived on her datapad from Gala Council of Station Delta Subject, Unity Festival, invitation to participate in cultural performance. Her heart skipped. It was a major event, watched by thousands across the station. Each species would send performers to show their highest form of beauty. Dancers, singers, warriors, glowing fire breathers. Lyria's name was on the list. They wanted her to perform, but why? She visited the council office, unsure and nervous. An elder Valari greeted her with a tight smile. You were recommended by your clan's name. Lyria frowned. Not by me? The elder looked away. You glow more now. It's not usual. But it caught attention. Do something peaceful, something soft. We need to balance the fire acts. So she wasn't chosen for her talent. She was chosen to fill a gap. That night, Lyria sat on a storage crate beside James, the stars shining through a round ceiling window. I got invited to the Unity Festival, she said. James didn't react. That's good, right? She hesitated. They didn't ask for me, they just needed someone quiet. James nodded thoughtfully. You know, he said, when I was young I built radios, old ones. One day I made a signal so weak no one heard it, except one ship passing near the dark belt. What happened? They found a lost explorer. Floating in space, the signal saved him. Lyria smiled gently. A quiet signal still saved someone, James said. She decided to go, but she wouldn't wear the bright, flashy armor her people offered, and she wouldn't perform their loud dances. She would do something different, something simple, something true. The night of the festival arrived. The Grand Hall of Galaxies buzzed with lights and sound. Thousands of aliens sat in curved rows. Floating camera drones hovered, streaming the show to every sector of the station. One by one, dazzling acts performed. Flames spun in the air. Warriors danced with glowing blades. A creature made of wind sang a note so high it shook the glass panels. Then, silence. The announcer spoke. And now, a peaceful offering from the Valari species, Lyria of Clan Relin. Whispers. Many didn't recognize the name. Lyria walked slowly to the center. No makeup, no costume, just her soft glow, and the sound orb James gave her in her hands. She placed the orb on the floor, pressed play. A slow piano melody filled the vast hall. She stood still. At first, then began to move, not like a dancer, not like a fighter, but like a wave. Soft, quiet, natural. Her glow pulsed gently, matching the beat. The music wrapped around the crowd. It didn't stun them, it soothed them. Some closed their eyes, some leaned forward, silent. And in the very back, James watched. His arms crossed, a small smile on his face. When the song ended, she stood quietly, breathing steady. No one clapped at first. They weren't sure how. Then, slowly, the applause began. Soft, then louder. until the hall was full of it. After the show, performers crowded the dressing halls. Alien stars bragged about their moves, but several turned to Lyria, eyes calm, smiles real. "That was beautiful," one said. "Your light," another added. It wasn't loud, but it felt safe. Lyria bowed her head politely, then turned and found James leaning by the wall, waiting. "Well?" he asked. She smiled, eyes glowing. "They saw it. Finally, they saw you," he corrected. As they walked away from the festival together, side by side, she asked, "How did you know this would happen?" James looked at her. "Because sometimes the galaxy moves too fast. It forgets the power of quiet things. But when it pauses, just for a moment, it remembers." Lyria reached out, touched his hand softly. "Thank you," she whispered. James looked at her and said nothing. But he didn't need to, because this time, the world was listening. The mockery returns. The celebration didn't last long. After the Unity Festival, Lyria's name appeared on news boards across the station. Small blogs and local net streams called her performance a moment of stillness, the soft light of forgotten beauty, and even the soul of the stars. Many praised her, but not all. Some sneered. They said things like, "She didn't do anything. She just stood and glowed. Only weak species think that's art." And worse, of course the human liked her. He has no standards. The worst came from Prince Varn, heir of the Tasaka Empire. Tall, silver-plated skin, voice like a blade, famous for leading training duels in front of audiences, and known for crushing anything he found beneath him. He posted a message on the public boards. "A fading Valari and her pet human? If that's beauty, I must be blind." It spread fast. Lyria read the words slowly, heart sinking. James didn't say anything at first, but the next morning, he sent a formal reply. "If Prince Varn would like to test standards, I invite him to a public challenge, one of logic, not fists." The entire station buzzed. A human challenging a noble Tasaka in front of everyone? Madness. The event was scheduled in the main hall 2 days later. The rules were simple. A logic duel using ancient Earth puzzles and galactic code simulations. No weapons. No physical fighting. Only the mind. Exactly what James wanted. Lyria sat in the front row, heart pounding. Varn arrived in full formal wear, his armor polished, his smirk wide. James wore the same thing he always did. Work boots, dark, shirt, tired eyes. The announcer floated between them. "Begin. Round 1. Pattern recognition." Varn was fast, but James was exact. His answers were clean, simple. Round 2. Multi-language decoding. Varn stumbled on Old Earth Latin. James translated it in 5 seconds. Round 3. Final round. Memory match using sound. A full silence fell over the hall. A strange tune played just once. Both contestants had to recreate it, perfectly. Varn made his attempt. Sharp, robotic, close. Then James closed his eyes, tapped the keys softly, and recreated not just the E notes, but the emotion. The sound was the same one he had given Lyria weeks ago. Soft, human, real. The room went still. Then the results flashed. Winner, James Holt of Earth. No cheering. Just silence. The kind that comes from being surprised and humbled. Varn stood slowly, his smirk gone. "You cheated," he said quietly. James looked at him with calm eyes. "No, I just remembered." "Remembered what?" Varn spat. James answered, "What it's like to fight without noise, to win without shouting, to care without pride." Then he turned and walked away. No celebration, no grand exit, just silence. Lyria followed him outside. She didn't say anything for a moment. Then, You could have embarrassed him worse. James nodded. But I didn't come here to crush people. I came to build things. Like me? She asked softly. He looked at her. No, you weren't broken, you were just buried. Word of the match spread fast. Not just that James won, but how he won. With focus, with kindness, with quiet. People began to see both him and Lyria differently. They were no longer odd. They were strong in a different way. That evening, as Lyria returned to her room, she passed a small child from another species who had always run away from her glow. But this time the child stopped, stared at her and said, "You shine like a calm sun." Lyria smiled gently. "Thank you." She sat by her window that night watching the stars. James had given her confidence, but now she was beginning to build her own. Because for the first time in her life, the world didn't just see her, it respected her. The truth about her light. The next morning, Lyria received a message marked Ancient Records Division. Urgent. It was strange. She had never visited the ancient archives before. Only scholars and elders did that. But the message was clear. Come to Hall B9. You are requested by the keeper of Valari lore. She hesitated, then went. Hall B9 was quiet and cold. Old books, glowing symbols, and ancient star maps floated in the air. The room smelled like dust and electricity. At the center stood a tall figure, skin like faded glass, eyes glowing with wisdom. Keeper Ralos. Lyria, he said gently. I've been watching your light. She lowered her eyes. If this is about the performance, I didn't mean to. No, he interrupted. This is about your gift. She blinked. Gift? He raised a hand. A small mirror floated between them. Glow for me. She took a breath. Let her heart relax. Her skin pulsed with soft violet light, calm and even. The keeper's eyes widened. Exactly as I feared and hoped. He walked to a nearby panel and opened a file, older than the station itself. It showed drawings, Valari, with light like hers, gentle, healing, peaceful. They were called the Lumari, he said. Healers, listeners, rare among us. What happened to them? Lyria whispered. They were forgotten. Their light didn't fit our warrior traditions. We praised strength and mocked peace. She stared at the old images. One looked exactly like her. Your glow isn't weak, Keeper Rallo said. It's ancestral, a rare sign of deep harmony. That's why it scared them. Why they ignored you. He placed a glowing stone in her hand. This belonged to the last Lumari elder. Now it belongs to you. Lyria's hand shook. I'm not a leader, she said softly. The keeper looked deep into her eyes. True leaders don't shine to be seen. They shine to show the way. Later, as she walked through the station's garden sector, everything looked different. Not brighter, but clearer. She wasn't just someone with a soft glow. She was carrying something ancient. Something real. That evening, she found James by the engine core fixing a damaged drone. Without a word, she placed the glowing stone in his hand. He looked at it, confused. Then she told him everything. About the Lumari. The truth. Her ancestors. The forgotten power she held. James listened carefully. When she finished, she waited for him to speak. He didn't say anything for a moment. Then finally, I always knew there was something rare about you. You believed before I did, she said. He nodded. Because the galaxy teaches us to see noise. But Earth taught me to watch for what's quiet. She smiled. He continued. Now they'll try to claim you. Use your name. Build statues. Pretend they always respected you. Lyria asked. And what should I do? James shrugged. Stay the same, stay soft, stay kind, let the noise fight over itself. The next day her clan called her to the family chamber. They offered her a seat on the High Council. She has ancient blood, they whispered. Let her lead. She will bring honor. Lyria looked around. The same people who once told her to stay silent, to stay hidden, now offered her power. She smiled politely. I don't need a seat, she said. I already have a voice, and walked away. That night she and James sat in their usual spot on the maintenance platform staring at the stars. You know, James said, on Earth some flowers only bloom at night. No one sees them, but they're still beautiful. Lyria leaned on his shoulder. That's what I was, wasn't I? He looked at her softly. No, you're what comes after the night. The beauty they missed. The stars above Station Delta sparkled brighter than usual. The Galactic Broadcast Network announced a surprise headline that reached thousands of systems. The last Lumari is alive, and she's just a girl, they laughed. Lyria's face now appeared on news banners, profile screens, and cultural networks. Scholars requested interviews. Artists began painting her likeness. Merchants tried to use her glow in their branding. Suddenly everyone wanted her. But it was already too late for their approval to matter, because someone had already seen her, before the fame, before the discovery, before anyone called her rare. 1 week later, the station hosted the Harmony Gala, a special event to celebrate peace among species. The council offered Lyria a chance to give the final speech. She accepted, but on her own terms. She stood on the open platform, no stage, no lights, just a simple circle in the garden dome. Around her, thousands gathered, both in person and through floating screens. She wore no crown, no robe, just a soft tunic and her natural glow, calm, steady, beautiful. James stood quietly behind her, leaning against a tree, just like always. Lyria looked at the crowd. I was not born a leader, she began, her voice clear and soft. I was not praised, not celebrated, not wanted. My glow was too small, my voice too gentle. Some listeners lowered their eyes in guilt. But one person, she said, glancing toward James, saw something the rest of you missed. He saw value in what you called ordinary. He saw peace where others saw weakness. The crowd listened, still. I didn't change to earn your respect, she continued. I simply stopped hiding. And I will not lead by shouting, I will guide by standing. She raised her hand, letting the stone of the Lumari glow in her palm. This glow was never meant to blind. It was meant to light the way for those who are forgotten, like I was. A soft silence spread across the garden, and then applause. Real, full, honest. After the event, many approached her. A young alien girl with green scales whispered, I used to hide my colors too, but you made me feel proud. A robotic being asked for a recording of her speech to teach its hatchlings. Even her old classmates bowed their heads, unsure of how to speak. But Lyria didn't seek their praise. She only turned once, to James, and smiled. Later, as the stars returned to the sky, she sat beside him again. Same maintenance deck. Same old spot. No cameras. No crowds. Just peace. Do you ever miss being unknown? She asked. James took a slow sip of tea. Sometimes. But I like seeing you shine more. She leaned against him. You made it safe for me to be myself. James nodded. And you made it worth staying here. They sat together in silence, not because they had nothing to say, but because sometimes the quiet meant everything. Over time, Lyria and James built something more. Not a kingdom, but a network. A peaceful project called The Quiet Signal. It helped those who felt unseen, across stations, worlds, and species, find each other. No loud ads, no pride, just simple messages, soft lights, and quiet hearts. One day, a small alien boy asked James, why did you choose her, when everyone else turned away? James smiled gently. Because real beauty doesn't demand attention, he said. It waits. And I was listening. And so, In a galaxy full of noise, weapons, and flashing stars, one human and one glowing girl reminded everyone that true strength can come from stillness, and true love starts when someone sees the beauty everyone else missed.